With the announcement of Google Stadia, I was thinking like, hey, is this something that really could get off the ground and really has a lot of potential? Now, having done a little bit of research and specifically into what the average download speeds are within the markets that are going to be a thing for Google Stadia, I really have to say that I'm not all too sure, especially when it comes to the 4K streaming capability side of things. Because doing a quick search on Google on how much download speed you would need in order to be able to stream 4K, you need at least 25 megabit per second. Now, taking the Netherlands as an example right here, and by far the best and the most used ISP in the Netherlands right here, the start package is 40 megabit per second. Now, having said that, the majority of people that do play games and, do not really know what the hell they're talking about or what they're doing are playing on Wi-Fi. A lot of people are predominantly still not really all too bothered. I'll play on Wi-Fi, can't be bothered with cables. And that's one of the things that is more than likely going to be one of the problems with this streaming, because first of all, you need a stable connection. Second of all, you need a connection that is fast enough. So I think from the start, 4K streaming in terms of games is going to be something that is not really going to happen all that much. In terms of 1080p streaming, I think the majority of people will be alright. But aside from that, you really have to think about how much is there on offer in Google Stadia. As far as we know so far, there's a total of 2 AAA games that are going to be there at launch, which is Doom Eternal, which is not even out yet, so that's a good thing that they acquired, and also Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, Assassin's Creed Odyssey has been out for a while, and if you ask me personally, I'm also wondering about input lag and all sorts of that things. If you want to start using Google Stadia effectively, you're going to need wired internet, you're going to need stable internet, and you're going to need fast internet too. The majority of people doesn't have either of those 3 things. Now, having a quick look at the average internet speed in all kinds of countries, the USA, for example, has an average of 25 megabit per second. Now, this should be fine for 1080p streaming, but the further down the list you go, the slower it gets. You're already in Italy, for example, the average is 15 megabit per second. Now, if you live in a home with multiple people, that internet connection obviously is going to be affected by that as well. And this is only in place 43. And you really have to wonder like how much of a market Google Stadia really has, especially because they claim you can also play on your phone and whatnot. And if we're looking at 4G, for example, personally over here in the Netherlands, I have like 100 download or something, and that should be okay. You obviously are going to need one of the more advanced phones as well. Is 4G internet is going to be enough and going to be stable enough? Because if you're moving around in a train, for example, how much is that going to be affected with that? Then taking an example again at the games, there's a total of 2 games that are quote unquote, appealing, but would you not rather have that downloaded to your hard drive so you can get patches? That's another thing. What's going to happen to patches? Is that going to be kept up to date at the same time as the people that are going to receive that on a PS4 or an Xbox, for example? Speaking of those 2 consoles, can we just remind each other about how well PlayStation Now is doing? That service absolutely sucks, and it's littered by input lag and whatnot, and just overall it doesn't really appeal to me personally, and I have a lot of questions about how exactly they're going to pull it off. So far, myself, like many others, are very skeptical. However, this is Google, and I'm pretty sure that they know what they're doing, and if their claims are going to be true, we might have something very revolutionary in our hands, because they claim that you don't have to download anything, you can just go to the website and just start playing games. But I think their main issue is going to be what kind of games are going to be available on there that, for example, are not going to be available on a PlayStation 4, for example. Because me personally, I have a fast internet connection. For me, it's no trouble to go to the PlayStation Store, preload a game, and play it whenever I can. What's going to happen, for example, if the servers go down for Google Stadia? You're not able to play the games then, even if they're offline. So these are just questions that are just coming from the top of my head as I'm just rambling on here. So as you can see, I'm skeptical, but obviously I'd love to know what you guys think. But whenever this does come out, I obviously am going to give it a look. But for now, I'm not too sure. I think it has potential, but I think there's a lot of things such as VR that have potential, but they're more like oh hey, we might be able to do this. I think the world is not really ready for streaming games yet, especially because the majority of people and the majority of gamers around the world don't have an internet connection that is acceptable yet, which is a story for another time. Because I know plenty of people in my Discord and just, around in my humble little community that have internet speeds that just make me cry. And it really just starts to make you wonder, shouldn't there be like an international law where everyone has a certain amount of download speed? Because if you're still downloading with 1 megabyte per second in 2019, your country needs to get off their ass and sort some shit out, because that's just straight up not acceptable. Speaking of stuff that shouldn't be allowed, what about data caps? There are certain countries and parts of the world where there's also data caps. If you're going to start streaming video games, data caps are going to be reached very, very quickly, because those transfer rates are going to go back and forth constantly at a very high and very expensive speed, I am very sure. So yeah, a lot of questions, and hopefully some of those questions will be answered soon. I'll be definitely keeping an eye on Google Stadia as the time goes on. But so far, very interesting concept, very interesting thing to have a look at. But for now, that was it for me. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you also very much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I'll see you all later.